Hello, folks. Welcome back to Earworms here, the first show in 2026 on this January 2nd, Friday. For a little while, we are going to be continuing to try the Friday time slot. So far, looks like it'll be around 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to see how that goes for the music, like focusing on some of the albums we love. We're sticking with Sunday nights at its regular 7 p.m. Eastern time, but we're going to try this out, see if we can do a little something between Trev and B-sides and see if there's people that want to enjoy some of these albums of old that are great. And tonight we have a great one. Tonight we're doing In the Court of the Crimson King, the 1969 album from King Crimson, the debut album, the first lineup, and there's a little bit of history of the musicians and different bands they played with before and then after. This was like a 1 year special lineup, it seems. So we're going to have some fun talking about this because it was a landmark album and a lot of inspiration came from this album. So, anyway, let me bring on one of my colleagues here. Which one? There he is.
And there I am.
Mike.
What's up,
Mountain
man?
Hot Gorley.
Got a great one tonight.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a while, and just,
Yes, we
with the
have.
holidays and everything, it got delayed a bit. But now we're going to give this Friday a real good college try, shall we say. And yeah, this is a great one, like you said. I think I'll bring on our other panelists first,
Bring
and then
him
we can do
on.
some preliminary discussions. So, folks,
Yes.
be a little careful. Be careful of cavernous places.
One rabbit suit coming right up. Look. Jesus Christ! I warned you.
And there you go.
I am here.
There you go.
You got a bit of a side eye to you.
I loved it. This is a hit album with no hit singles on it. It's a that's quite a rarity in the music world. It doesn't now they do play songs on the radio, and there are certainly some popular ones, but it never charted anything. It never had an official hit song, but the album itself is a perennial seller. It's no Dark Side of the Moon, but it's definitely, up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reached number 5 on the UK charts as an album. That's true.
Yeah.
There wasn't
They didn't really have any hits, but I do know they played in the court because that's how I discovered them. My local radio station played in the Court of the Crimson King.
Yeah. And I mean, we would all, but one of the problems, the songs are way too long for, normal radio play, especially back then.
I think sometimes they'd play like a edit version of it.
Yeah, which is
and then
really
they play
annoying.
Yes, it is. Agreed.
So,
but I love the song, so I became a fan.
But that's a good preliminary question. Was this like now there was jazz where you would have some longer tracks and so forth, but for what is still considered, I guess, popular music, was this really I guess you're already anticipating my question.
Yeah.
But I know that this was definitely an album that inspired longer tracks, but I guess it wasn't really the first to do that.
Oh no, Pink Floyd had some already.
Oh
before
yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Although Piper at the Gates of Dawn, they were a little longish, but not super long. They didn't have.
They got longer after Barrett left, but you got Metal and Adam Hart Mother.
Yeah, but those are already starting to overlap. This album, well, the idea for the band started in 68, but it wasn't until January 13th, I believe it was, in 69 that they started rehearsing.
Yeah,
So,
this is considered the first real progressive rock album.
okay.
They flirted with it before, but not jazz. Kind of gets a fusion of jazz rock and classical elements. Like before, you had the Moody Blues, Procol Harum, Frank Zappa, and the Beatles. Are also considered sort of like pre or proto progressive rock. But this is the one. This is the one that started. And of course, later on, especially in the late 70s, early 80s, when we still had real radio stations, you would get album rock radio stations, and they would play the songs regardless of their length. I said length.
Right.
But back in the 60s, man, they were still looking for that 2-minute and 40-second banger that they could shove ads in between and cycle through as many as they could.
And they got popular pretty quick, too, because you think about it, like you said, 68, and then in 69, they got an album out already.
Yeah.
Pretty quick for a band,
Yeah, it's groundbreaking, and it is considered one of the greatest debut albums ever, as well as the foundational work for the progressive rock genre.
I don't think you get a lot of argument on that either, except for maybe people that don't know who the hell King Crimson is. And those people are out there.
Yeah, there is
Oh, sorry. Well, you guys are going strong. I probably should have just shut up, but I did.
No.
Since you mentioned the word link, I did put the link in the chat to the album on YouTube, YouTube Music. And whenever I do that from a web browser on a computer, I don't have to see ads. So it's a great way for folks to listen along with us. Please do open it in another browser window. And I have this chat pinned to the top so that as the video goes on, folks can easily access it. That's how we do listening here on YouTube, because it's hard. Now, let's go back to this time you're talking about. I guess it was the first official progressive rock album. And what makes progressive rock? From what I kind of know from my listening, but from reading about it and trying to isolate things, I think especially what was happening was an interest in classical music, and trying to bring some of those elements into rock, bringing jazz into rock, especially improvisation, a bit of free form and some experimentalism. And then also underlying it all, you pretty much couldn't call yourself progressive unless you could really play your instrument well. And but some bands fell into the trap of making it all about that, a demo of great playing, or being able to play in all sorts of different compound meters to keep changing. But underlying it really should be, I guess, having great music. But one thing that is true about the progressive bands is you had to be a pretty good musician, pretty good at your craft in order to work with them. So I guess I'll stop now after my big interruption.
Yeah, I was kind of on a roll there, man.
Yeah.
Really. So, it's one of those things, it when you see it, but progressive rock sort of evolved from progressive pop, which was sort of an emergence from all of the 60s psychedelia bands, because they abandoned the standard pop and rock traditions. And they're the first ones who started using, complex instrumentation and compositional techniques more associated with classical music and jazz and stuff. Additional elements was sort of, a more poetic technological sound. They would harness new instruments, expanding musical technology, coming up with weird, theremin shit, and the blaster beam, and it often became the focus, along with, it's a fusion of styles, not just genre, but styles and musical approaches, so that you end up with a diverse and eclectic sort of I guess a fusion. Although it often is associated with long solos, extended pieces, fantasy lyrics, really weird, grandiose stage sets like early Genesis, and obsessive dedication to technical skill. But it's not necessarily all the progressive acts had that. And it's often cited for its merging of the high and low cultures. I don't really look at it that way. I look at it more as the willingness to try something new while maintaining a bass, while maintaining a rock and roll, or even a light rock and roll, a pop music bass, and moving on from there. Like Emerson, Lake and Palmer is a really good example of that. They're a little poppy and they definitely wander all over the place, but at the heart, they're still structuring a rock and roll music sound.
Yeah. Mike, your thoughts?
Oh, I was just in the chat with I guess we got a couple people in the chat anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's going to be a little slow. We're all experiencing the post holiday dip.
Yeah, remember the critics hated this. They called it pompous and pretentious, and they did not like the emergence of progressive rock. But the customer base spoke, and here we are.
Exactly. Well, there was enough people that bought into that. I was one of them in the early 70s and stuff. I don't think I discovered this album when it came out. I believe it was a couple years later. In fact, at that point in time, Greg Lake had already joined. I had already formed Emerson, Lake and Palmer, because when I first heard this, so it really wasn't on the radio when it came out, because I heard it on the radio. And when I first heard it, I was like, that guy sounds like Greg Lake. And then I found out later, because we didn't have the internet then. I was like, holy shit, it is Greg Lake.
Yeah, we used to call them Emerson, Lake and Pretense.
But
because we're
I was a big Yes fan in the 70s as well. But I don't think they had an album in 1969. It was somewhat, but it wasn't. They hadn't found their sound yet. They didn't have Rick Wakeman. So this really, I agree with you. This is the premier. They are to progressive rock what Black Sabbath was to metal. It's like,
I mean, some of this stuff really lasts. Like this album, there's other stuff still remain embarrassed 50 years later that I was listening to it, so definitely runs the gamut.
I listened to this on the way to hiking today.
Oh yeah. No, this one is a banger. And do you know where the band got its name?
I read about it a little bit. It was from, I think it was Peter Singield's idea. He kind of used it before, but it was referring to Beelzebub, but from the meaning, like I guess the original meaning, like a man with an aim.
Yeah, from the Arabic phrase Beelzebub.
Yeah.
But that's what he wrote in The Court of the Crimson King, the song, and the name of the band, came from the song. And that was their main lyricist, Peter Singield. So
who was not on stage, but he was lighting it up.
And it's important to note, it's not Satan. It's the original Beelzebub, which means, and I really think, it's funny. King Crimson is Robert Fripp. He's the only guy in common with all the different iterations of the band.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And if you describe him as the man with aim, I think that's very, very appropriate nomenclature there.
Now, was this meaning like a man with an aim, like meaning they have some sort of underlying motivations that are not apparent? Is that what it means? Or does it mean just someone with a goal and determination?
No, I think it implies not only does he have a goal, but he has what he needs to achieve it. I think it's a dual meaning phrase. Man with aim and the man with an aim. like someone not to be discounted or underestimated.
So when did that ever got repainted into meaning something demonic?
Well,
The critic.
obviously, no. My guess is all of the ancillary texts around, the Bible. The Bible was a culmination of a bunch of different scrolls and texts and chapters, and my guess is that they used a lot of cognates from other religions to associate with things that are bad. I'm trying to be YouTube safe here.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's just like Christian holidays are sort of rebranding of the pagan holidays that came before it. It doesn't mean they don't have meaning, but we're people. That's what people do. My thought was maybe it was some rebranding of other heathen gods and spirits and demons. I'm not sure, but I'm going to look that up while Mark talks.
Mark.
Or you.
Or me. Okay, yes. It's Mike, by the way. But,
sorry. Yeah. Well, sorry, Mike. Yeah. Well, I'm halfway.
But he's on the mark. He has aim.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's what you were thinking.
Yeah, I'm multitasking here. My apologies. Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. And there's the guys that broke Robert Fripp's heart.
Oh,
McDonald
I
and
already
Giles.
moved on from that slide, but there's back to the band lineup at this point. It was basically just for a year, if that, and
a couple albums. The first two albums.
Here are the names. Basically, at this point, Robert Fripp in 1968 was with Michael Giles and Michael's brother Peter Giles in a band that was just the three of them. And they were already just at that time, I think, going by Fripp, Giles, and Giles or something like that. And they had a deal with Decca Records that they were working on, but they were looking to kind of like expand the band a bit. And, you start from a core and then find the musicians you really gel with, maybe as a rhythm section or something, and then expand from there. And basically, it's when they ran into folks like Ian McDonald and then Greg Lake, and then Fripp decided he'd prefer Greg Lake as the bass and vocalist as opposed to Peter Giles. And it's like, there was just it was a week by week theme. It seemed like, all the things that were going on in the band coming together with this lineup. And one of them, Peter Singield, was really, had known Lake and McDonald. And he was a lyricist primarily, but his ideas for lyrics were so great they wanted to work with him. And he also knew lighting and stuff and could do stage lighting, so they benefited from that. But he's the one guy in the list there that I list as lyrics and lighting because, he was an ideas man, so to speak, I guess. Not really on stage playing. But, this was the original lineup. But then after that, it was, Giles and McDonald left, and Fripp was, tasked with kind of like remaking the band. And from what I read, it took until about 73, 74 until he felt like he had the lineup he wanted. And even that probably, didn't last very long.
No. No. They people think Yes had a lot of different people. King Crimson was, throughout the years. But the 80s lineup being one of my favorite with Adrian Belew. But this was definitely a landmark.
Now, they didn't always use the name King Crimson afterwards, right? Sometimes they'd separate into different projects and felt
they did. There was the Crimson Project that Adrian Belew did with the Tony Levin. And then, of
Mhm.
course, the last couple years, Beat, which I saw that up in Cincinnati, and that was with that was actually Robert Fripp that suggested that name, and suggested Steve Vai as the guitarist as well. So
Yeah, Fripp owns King Crimson wherever he goes. That's it. But I don't think
Yeah.
he's not an a-hole about associating with him for people who used to be members.
Well,
So
he basically did that last tour, and so
yeah, it's like
yeah.
you can't use King Crimson, but once you use the name of one of our albums, like,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and Blue didn't want to do that either. No, none of them wanted to use the King Crimson name. So, yeah, it was very classy. They did a very good job of it, and I mean, and I was really impressed with how humble Steve Vai was about the whole thing. He was like, I'm doing the best I can. Fripp was a genius, and in fact, there was one song on the album, one of the 3 albums, the Lark's Tongue and Aspect 3, that he said I could probably eventually learn it, but when they did it on tour, they did Lark's Tongue 2. So they did not do that one. But yeah, Steve Vai said it's so damn complicated. He said I might be able to do it in a few years. So I thought that's pretty humble, man.
Yeah, that's coming from the man who thought Frank Zappa's stuff was pretty easy. So complicated.
Well,
but it didn't take him nearly as long to learn all the Zappa stuff.
Yeah, right. Well, I always kind of thought Vai was a bit, kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say pompous ass, but I think he matured.
I think that was
80s.
the thing to do.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Guitar
and I thought,
God.
Right, exactly. So anyway, but well, Greg Lake, one of the things Fripp said about Lake was he said he kind of wanted to be the, rock. He was into the rock star thing. And, Fripp, I don't think Fripp ever really cared about the whole rock star bullshit. He just wanted to play music.
Well,
and invent delay.
Yeah, he's often on the side of the stage, sitting on his amp. You can barely see him. He's in shadow. He wants none of that whatsoever. It's funny.
Oh, yeah, that's what Blue said about playing with Steve Vai. He goes, I wasn't used to somebody who's, actually up and moving.
Well, Lake, what I heard about on one of the documentaries I looked at was that that Fripp was a little concerned about his musical abilities at first compared to the others. But when I listen to the bass on this album, it sounds pretty good. And there's some moments where it actually...
Yeah, he wasn't a bass player initially, kind of like Paul McCartney. He kind of got winged into it.
Mm-hmm.
So...
But it sounds
although
pretty
he does
good
play
on the
guitar
album,
In the Court of the Crimson King.
Mm-hmm. So I guess maybe it depends on, I mean, of course, on the album, you're going to release your best work. So maybe it was an off album.
Yeah. When Bill Bruford joined up with him, he said, man, you got to be able to know what you're doing and catch up yourself because they're not going to tell you. You got to know it. And that's coming from that guy. So
yeah. Bruford was definitely one of the great drummers.
Yeah. And a jazz guy.
Yeah. So for him being insecure, that's really messed up.
Yeah. Well, he did, he came out of retirement this last year and he's playing jazz.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of his thing is the jazz stuff. But
yeah, well, Michael Giles sounds like, from his playing, it sounds like he did a lot of jazz listening too.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I'd say they all did.
Although he did incorporate double kick on this, I believe.
Yeah, I think I think they lost a lot when they lost him as their drummer. They didn't really kind of get it back until Starless and Bible Black, which kind of that and Red were sort of one phase, and then you get the 3 Blue albums. It's funny because people ask, what's a good What's a good representative album for King Crimson? Like,
Oh, shit.
yeah, which you really, but they did put out a couple compilation albums, which is a really good sampler of the different eras.
Yeah. I'd
So
probably
there's
pick
the
this one and probably Discipline.
yeah, there's the Young Man's Guide to King Crimson and the Portable King Crimson. I
Oh,
think
yeah,
gives
yeah.
you
It's got a compiled.
yeah,
Yeah. Compiled.
yeah,
Yeah.
gives you a good sampling of their various eras.
Yeah, definitely. Because they
Good to
were, yeah,
see.
yeah. It's definitely different. I mean, you have Fripp there, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, but he really can sound incredibly different depending on who he's playing with.
You are correct. Yeah. Well, he did that thing. He did a couple albums with Stuart Copeland. Those are interesting. And his League of Crafty Guitarist.
Yeah.
That's some. I love that stuff. That's just unreal.
Well, it's
But
great
yeah,
to see
Fripp
Robot
is a
in the
freaking
chat.
genius.
We are trying out Fridays, and we're going to see how it goes for our albums. We're still going to do Sunday. This Sunday, Babylon 5 Grail is on tap. So we will be searching for the Holy Grail right along with Aldous Gaich. But any case, let's get back to this album and the highlights, at least. I mean, I guess you could say plenty more, but yeah, like Istophobos said, maybe, I mean, a lot of us that remember it or love the album love certain songs on it, but as far as charting, the album itself was more of a success than any of the songs individually. Although in that summer of '69, especially as the tour went on, people I'm sure fell in love with Epitaph and of course, the barn burner, 21st Century Schizoid
Schizoid
Man.
Yeah, we have to give a shout out to Barry Godber. I'm sure he's the one who designed the album cover.
Yeah, I have him coming up here
Okay.
because the album cover is formula. It's not that AI art you saw there briefly.
Yeah.
It's the 21st Century Schizoid Man. That is the vision that Barry Godber had for the album cover, which we're going to go back to here. And that was, it was like two different panels he did, one of this face and one of a more smiling one. And both were supposed to be distortions of his own face.
Yep.
According to him. And unfortunately, he passed very young at age 24 from heart attack. And so I didn't look up the details to that, but it's like, oh.
Yeah, who that has to be a congenital defect or, a massive amount of cocaine to have a heart attack at 24.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the others that passed way too young, like Jimi Hendrix and the crew, they were able to last a bit longer.
Well, that explains why
but
we didn't
still.
get a bunch more album covers done by him in a similar style. He might have ended up being as popular as someone like Roger Dean,
Yeah,
Oh,
because
wow, yeah.
that album cover was quite striking. It definitely does embody that track. And I guess kind of what they were doing at this album, because you could see in it, let me get it back on screen while I'm talking about it. You could see in it something that, well, not cubist, but something that, kind of Picasso-esque in a way. Something that was a bit modern and not totally Andy Warhol or anything, but yeah, like you said, Roger Dean. If one of those planets had a face, this is close to it. And then there was artists at the time, like the guy that did the art for Pink Floyd's The Wall. I forget the name, but I'll look it up real quick. But yeah, these artists at the time were great and could become great, especially with some good album covers. So it's a shame that he did not.
Are you talking about Gerald Scarfy or Scarf?
I'm trying to. Is that the person that did the like the animations
Yes,
for the wall? Yeah. Okay. There
as
you go.
far yeah, as far as I know, the drawings, like the interior art album cover,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was him.
Yeah, and the
I don't know
movies.
about the animation part.
Okay. Well, let me just look that up. Who did the artwork for Floyd's The Wall? And yeah, we always check AI to see if our memories are working. Well, we know they're not, so we have to look it up and remind ourselves. But yeah, yeah. I don't know why it didn't ring a bell when you said it. Gerald Scarfy, yeah. Where Scarf was the art there, um, and then I'm going to check the animations here real quick. Anybody want to say something while I do that, or
Uh,
who did the animations for?
yeah,
Animation.
But he was
you
a
meant
computer programmer, so at this time that would have been like punch cards or something, man.
yeah,
Or
or
moving the little beads on the abacus. I don't know.
he could draw the bits onto the punch card using yeah, it's a very the style. There's a little bit of surrealism in it, a little bit of cubism. You know, very a very distinct color theme.
Mm-hmm. And I like the side eye. It's almost like something you didn't expect is coming after you.
Yeah,
You can read a
well,
lot of different stuff into it, which is another thing that makes it
Yeah.
great.
yeah, I can remember just being a young one. I miss album covers in their original format. CDs don't really cut it for me. I
Mm-hmm.
remember hanging out with Santana's Abraxas and just gazing into that album art. Um, it's just you used to get these, you know, um, very large surfaces to do artwork on. They would often open up, and sometimes they would have a booklet. But
Mm.
you know, you had the size when they moved to CDs, everything got tiny and less impressive.
Well, still better than cassette tape.
Yeah,
That was a hard period.
Agreed.
and better than streaming because now you get nothing. So
Yep.
I just you know
Right. Yeah, we
I
don't
do
get
think
liner
the
notes anymore.
yeah I do think album art has sort of become a lost art ever since they started shrinking. And
Of
Mm-hmm.
course, well, of course, back then too, the thing is, I mean, you didn't have the internet to look all the stuff up like we do now.
yeah,
So the liner notes were really important. And it
Mm-hmm.
was really a big bonus if you got the lyrics, you know? So,
yeah. Otherwise, you know, how are you supposed to figure out what the hell Mick Jagger's saying?
oh God. Well,
Well,
as
what
a
this
guitar
is,
player, I remember trying to figure out a lot of those songs. And it was just like, you know, you had to keep picking the needle up and picking the needle up and dropping it down and write down a line. And what did he say? What did he say? You know, and
well,
you'd find out
nowadays,
years later you had shit wrong.
nowadays you can ask AI to generate, and that's what I asked here, a painting of the 21st century schizoid man, and it'll bang out something like this.
Hmm.
Certainly wouldn't be as iconic as the album cover, but
No.
well, anyway, it gives you something. Well, anyway, let's move on to that track, the first track on the album, and what I would say is we were hovering there for a bit on some of the highlights of the album, some of the historical influences being, you know, progressive rock, almost like coming together and being codified, shall we say, in this album so that others kind of had some vocabulary to go off of, a coming together of some elements. You know, it sounds to me, this track sounds like hard rock with jazz and, of course, a bit of a symphonic nature. When I say symphonic, in this case, more like the kind of bands that had horn sections are, like big band type of vibe, where it's like a swing band, but musicians that can go beyond just the swing genre and just go wild. But it was symphonic in a way because you had sections of instruments, sections of horns. But I think a lot of the was some multiple tracks recorded by Ian McDonald, right? The sax player.
Mhm.
And he also did flute, and it's just it's a bit of a wild ride, this song. I remind folks, I do have a chat pinned to the top with a link that you could hear this in another tab. Please don't lose the window, but just open up another tab and you can listen to the album while we talk about it, because if we play it, then
Yeah, there goes the
Might
stream will
disappear.
get shut down in a second. Yeah, the
yeah.
mellotron was a very important instrument for
Oh yeah.
producing some of those sounds if they didn't have a
I
string
have some
section or a horn.
videos. I have some videos on that coming up in the section on the Epitaph.
Oh, okay.
So, but I'm opening it up right now because I just want to hear this 21st century. There we go. I just want to hear this while we're going along here a little bit in the background. But yeah, when I've heard it before plenty of times, but when I listened to it again last night, it was just it, I could only imagine what people were thinking the first time they heard this. It was like they were probably thinking, "What instruments are what combination of instruments is going on there?" Even though they've probably heard it, it was like it's like these horns and everything all together. It was like, wow.
Yeah, I'll have to admit I'm not a huge fan of that section in the song where they just sort of cut loose. I think it's a little self-indulgent and unstructured, but
Hmm.
I can live with it. This is not my favorite part of the album.
Well, I mean, even just the horns at the beginning, bum, 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 it's just, and then there were, I know there were probably albums before that used distorted vocals, but I don't know, something like the combination of the horns, the gritty guitar, and then those vocals at the same time. It was just like, I don't know. It made you
It's,
stand up and take notice.
oh hell yeah! It's a heavy duty song. Yeah, I remember knowing a guy when I was about 20. He was a bass player in the band, and I came over there one time. They were practicing, and they actually, I mean, all the way through. You know, a lot of guitar guys, they play bits and pieces, but they played this song all the way through. I was like, holy shit, they're playing King Crimson. You know, not a lot of bands played King Crimson.
Yeah.
So,
Well, now you're a big Black Sabbath guy, Mike.
oh yeah, I
So,
liked all them bands back then. Well, you know, one of the early things I saw on TV was the California Jam that had Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple with Richie Blackmore. Yeah. So I like the prog
Yeah.
rock, but yeah, I liked some of the heavier, what they called, hard rock back then. Some of the metal later, not as big on, but
Yeah,
it
this is my second Black Sabbath discussion of the day, believe it or not. It's sort of
that
funny.
was like the same year. Well, maybe a little year
no, they
before,
were a little bit after.
1968. Well,
Well,
I'm
they were,
seeing here
they
Black
were in the
Sabbath
early
started
stages
in
before me. I don't
68.
think, yeah, I think their first album was 1970, but yeah, they were together around this time.
Yeah.
Well, they
Well,
were a fucking blues band at first.
all right. Well,
Seriously, they were, and I think they had, I think they were called Earth or something like that. But they were a blues band.
hmm
Yeah, Ozzy said he got interested in music hearing the Beatles for the first time. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you delve into the background of some artists. But I've always thought Tony Iommi was like the riff king. That guy
Okay.
just came up with some of the coolest riffs out there.
And I've always looked at Bill Ward as an insanely underrated drummer who
Oh
never got
God,
the
yeah,
credit
yeah.
he
Oh,
deserved.
and people didn't realize how many of the lyrics were written by Geezer Butler.
Yeah, so Tony Iommi says that, yeah, King Crimson was a big influence on him.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
big
Yeah,
time.
I actually heard that basically the most important member of Black Sabbath was Sharon Osbourne because no, I'm not kidding, because
Oh, I
she
know
was
later.
PR savvy. She made sure Ozzy got all the credit and encouraged him to leave them and go solo and everything. She sounds like a real
Well, she's been his business
intense.
manager. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, she became his business manager, but I don't know if she takes credit for him leaving. They fired him because of
Yeah,
drug use.
but she was also responsible for him getting, I believe when you don't hear much about any of the other musicians, that's one of the reasons there.
Yeah. Oh, she straightened his ass out.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
She got him on. Yeah. Otherwise, who knows? He'd probably be dead. Would have been dead sooner. But
yeah,
people
she's
don't
like
realize Ozzy. He's because he has. Well, number one is he has a dialect from that area, but in the way he talks. But he's actually, I think he's a really good guy, myself, and I don't think he's as like dumb like people think he is. He's not dumb at all.
No, he lacks focus, and Sharon gave him
Yes.
like hyper focus.
Exactly.
She's the female Peter Grant, and I'm not sure I would ever want to marry Peter Grant. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
Wanted to highlight what At the Real History had to say here. With
on what?
studying classical and jazz as musicians.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Who we looking at?
oh, that's Ziggs. Okay, yeah, the real hosty.
The real
yeah.
hosty. I thought it said the real history.
No, it's hosty,
Whoops.
but
Oh.
yeah,
I see what you're talking about now.
yeah, he's around in our circles, but he'll go by a few different names. So
All right. That's cool. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you love rock and stuff, you still want to learn jazz and classical, just to get it down. When I say classical, that includes Baroque and the other style periods and everything. I mean, I've enjoyed it all and have done a lot of learning of all different kinds of genres throughout history. But yeah, one thing about jazz is it forces you really to understand how different pitches work together in combinations, how some are inside, some are outside, and how to kind of like do that middle ground of where you're stretching tonality a bit, but you're still in it. And then there's true outside, and then there's true inside, and they all kind of come together, as well as the expansion of what, the blues scale gives you and some of those color tones.
oh, you're such a pitchist. Don't forget, you need rhythmic complexity too. I love rock; it's my favorite. But the guys I loved, they listened to other stuff, and that's where they learned, to swing it up a bit and their grooves and polyrhythms and complicated. So yeah, jazz also, you could focus on the pitch if you're one of those melody guys, or you could focus on the rhythm.
Well, I mean, I do love rhythm too. I
Yeah,
guess I
I
would have
know.
gotten
Just
there eventually.
I know, just giving you crap.
Well, yeah. And plus with learning, rhythm is one of those things that it's just practice. So much of music is practice, but it's practice, and listening, of course. Yeah, but sometimes I remember when I was an undergraduate, I used to have scales running through my head, and I used to have like some sort of mental finger memory where I was doing them in thirds and fourths and everything throughout the range of the instrument. Saxophone was my instrument, but doing all the palm keys and everything in fourths and going up and down, and just having that running through my head for hours before I slept, which I didn't do a lot of. So let me put, I guess, anybody want to say anything more about this track? It's already went to the next one in my head.
Okay, yeah, this is actually like there are parts about this I love, but it might be my least favorite track on the whole album. Actually,
What, Talk to the Wind?
no, 20th Century Schizoid.
Really?
You switched.
21st
Yeah,
century. Yeah.
yeah.
We're in it now.
I
But
guess it needs to be 22nd Century Schizoid Man now.
Yeah.
We need to update it.
Well, now, if we're going to wonder about some of the weird AI art that I have here, I like to use some of that easy diffusion stuff, the broken, like really bizarre, scary stuff. Talk to the Wind. This is supposed to be Mike. This is not Mike. Oh, yeah. No,
Looks
it's
like Mark to me.
No, this is supposed to be, what is it? He's called the straight man talking to the late man. And it added a
That's an
third one.
interesting line, isn't it?
No, I don't know why I thought it would have anything to do with you at all. But anyway, but I think one of the later ones does. But in any case, the straight man talking to the late man, basically, like, shall we say, a square talking to a hip guy is probably a way of looking at that meaning and stuff.
Well,
But
back then, a
is,
straight man was it was a square.
yeah.
That guy, he's straight. I remember saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's straight, man. I don't know about the late man, but seriously, I remember saying that.
I guess it
that
means
guy,
the man who's not as worried about showing up on time. Or maybe it meant the late man, meaning a man more of that era, and where they thought things were going, because this was the time, we're just dawning in this age of Aquarius. And the age did not go that way at all. And so, anyway, like late man, meaning having the later views or something, who knows? But anyway, I really loved on this, the harmonics from Fripp's playing and everything. There were some moments where I was like, oh man, this reminds me of Steve Hackett a bit. And although maybe we could say it's the other way around, I don't know.
Yeah, I think one evening where I was talking with some musician friends and possibly partaking of things to expand your consciousness, we had the idea that the late man was a dead guy and the straight man might have been Jesus or St. Peter. He's like, I've been here and there and in between. Like, there's a bunch of ways you can interpret the song, especially if you're like on your couch high as balls. So,
Oh yeah, all these can go different ways and everything.
Yeah.
I was listening even last night, really late. I wasn't high or anything, but it's one of those things where when you're having trouble sleeping and it's been a few days, you're not in your normal state of consciousness, even if you haven't taken any chemicals or anything. And I was like, especially with what comes up next with Epitaph, I was like, that really got me going in a way.
Yeah, this is a beautiful track, and it lends itself to all sorts of arrangements if you want to cover it or do your own version. And the drums here are just so tasteful and laid back, and the flute is really just
McDonald
beautiful.
Can play flute.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be, I think I ping pong back and forth on which is my favorite, but this definitely is at least a large portion of the time. It's just a gorgeous song.
I was going to play a little bit of something, and I think we can get away with it because there's some stuff that purports to be 8mm tape out there. And, that's on YouTube from the Hyde Park performance.
A
And I think
They
what
opened
I'll
for the
do
Stones.
is I know at least it won't get the stream ripped down. But what I can do is just say right now that if you're watching this after the fact and you see a little bit of a jump, that's probably because it was clipped out after the fact. Because I am going to try to play a little bit of something here from the Park concert.
Oh,
Now, I
cool.
know that concert overall also had the Stones headlining it, but we're just going to play a small little clip I found on YouTube from two of the songs from this album. And
Well, that was the concert that, it really helped
Yeah.
him out playing that concert.
Yeah, when you're done with that, remind me because I have a sort of production note that's related after you play these.
okay, no problem. In fact, it's going to take me a little bit before I'm going to be able to do that too, because the way I'm having to do it here means clicking on tabs and they're all over the
Okay,
place right
if
now.
you have a CD release of this album that's prior to 2004, you want to throw it away and get a new one because all of those were sourced from multi-generational tapes because they had lost the masters, and they
Oh.
usually have a pretty strong tape hiss, and there were a bunch of production tricks to try to minimize around that, but there's quality loss. And then they recovered the masters from Virgin Records in 2004, and they immediately did a bunch of reissues, and you'll see because they'll say original master edition is the tag they used onward when they and there's some back and forth about which sounds better. Some of the masters were a little bit on the bright side, but you definitely don't want a CD that's cut from a fourth generation analog. So
No, definitely. You want the original tapes, not
yeah.
Not Blockbuster. Here we go. Let's hear a little bit of this. This is 21st Century Schizoid Man at Hyde Park. Just a little bit of it, and of course, you're going to see a lot of audience because we always need to see that too. Yeah, and the camera work, great. All right, so yeah, I mean, let's just say that people were having fun out there, I guess.
Yeah, they stopped doing that song live in the 80s because part of Fripp didn't want to anchor the group to things in the past. It was part of his idea of being in progressive rock. You're constantly moving forward. So they used to, it was their big live act, but in the 80s that it was dropped from all of their set lists. So
yeah, well, I mean, I guess at the same time, you get sick of playing that riff over and over again.
yeah, there's a remaster of Three of a Perfect Pair where they have a bonus song. It's a joke song called the King Crimson Barbershop. It's live, and Fripp goes out and say, "We don't do 20th Century Schizoid Men anymore, but we're the King Crimson Band." So you can hear him say it on the album.
Wow. All right, I am going to try and share the other screen that I have up there ready to go. Sorry, this takes me a little bit, folks, but, I'm just trying to make sure I'm playing the right stuff. Okay, there we go. We should now see some more great footage from the same concert, but this is Epitaph.
Confusion will be my epitaph. If we make it, we can all. Tomorrow I'll be crying. Yes, I'll be. I'll be crying. Yes, I'll be. Tomorrow I'll be crying.
All righty.
Oh,
So,
there's some imagery on that. I hope it didn't get the stream pulled.
what
'Cause,
was
Yeah.
what was it? Joints or something?
it was a particular symbol.
Oh, that's right. There was a
Yeah.
Nazizi symbol I remember
Yeah.
seeing at one point.
I was
it-
just
I don't
Yeah.
think they were promoting it.
Yeah, Mike, did you recognize what guitar he was playing there? It looks a little bit modified with some
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
nice pickups there, and it looks
I
like he
was just
put some
sitting there
extra.
thinking, I was just sitting there watching all the people, and I wondered how many of them were like, you know, they're there for the Rolling Stones, going, "What the fuck is this?" I mean, there's a big contrast between King Crimson and the Rolling Stones. So
Yeah.
if you'd never heard King Crimson before and you're there to hear, you know, I can't get no satisfaction, you're probably like, wow, man, what is this?
But I think this was like a month before Woodstock, and of course they only just started rehearsing in January of this year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
all this was so quick. Things happening in succession,
Well,
one
I mean,
after
it helped
another.
them, no doubt. So, yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, it got
definitely.
them in the limelight. But I was just wondering, you know, how many of the, you know, because those people, half of them look stoned out of their head. How
Well,
many of
that's
them were
what I
going,
mean. And plus,
man, when's
maybe
the
they just
Stones
haven't
coming
heard
on,
them yet.
man?
Maybe
Yeah.
they just didn't hear them yet, although it's in the UK, I guess a smaller geographical area.
Oh, yeah, Hyde
And the
Park.
melody maker pretty much had everything listed.
Well, at least they weren't with them at Altamont.
Yeah.
But that
there
was
a-
more. That was more. Yeah, along the lines. You had Jefferson Airplane, the Grateful Dead. But yeah. Anyway, moving
Yeah,
on.
do not have AI generate an epitaph for you. It'll just give you a concrete block and say, there you go.
Interesting.
There's supposed to be some writing on it. But anyway, yes, this piece, which we just heard a little bit there, is probably my favorite on the album. And it's not just because I'm partial to Mellotron, but also just the...
Well, it's a great piece, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer inserted part of it into their live act.
Now, Greg Lake's voice, and this is something that I'm curious about, and you guys might have a take on it, but there's something about the microphones at this time, and I guess the recording techniques. I mean, they may have, you know, for some of that reverb, actually used, I don't know, physical facilities at times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Exactly on this one, I didn't really look it up, but like the sound of the voice on this, it's almost like I almost prefer the sound of voices coming through these old mics like this than, you know, the most beautiful, brightest, large diaphragm condenser of today.
Right. Well, I always loved Greg Lake's voice. I always thought he had was and that's why, yeah, it's very distinct. And like I said, when I first heard King Crimson, it was already Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I'm like, man, that sounds like Greg Lake. He has a very distinct voice, a very good one.
Yeah, and is Liza with us?
I don't
Because
know. I just
something
sent her an
pop up
email
there.
because I had needed to ask her something.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
didn't
she's
know if
at,
she was going to
no,
join
she's
us.
not in the room with us. I just saw something move there. I guess it was Istophobos.
Oh,
Somehow things got moved. I thought she put up a chat for us. Yeah, unfortunately, Liza is not with us tonight. She has some work she's got to get done, and so
Well, let
she's
her know I
doing
sent
that.
her an email.
Yes, I will indeed. But in any case, I just saw the screen shift, so I thought she put a chat up, but no, she
Ah,
did not.
no, I
I'm
don't
still
see her in
watching
the
the
chat.
chat, folks. So if you have something to share with us, please drop it in the chat, and I will pop it up on screen if it's something that I feel furthers the discussion and everything. Yeah, Epitaph, in that line about confusion will be our
Will be my epitaph.
will be
I know.
my
I love that
epitaph.
line.
Almost like it's like our legacy in a way as humanity too. Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I mean, I don't know
You had
about
some pretty
sometimes.
heavy
I
lyrics
think
in this
all the
album.
time I think I would be confused about whatever I could say about, a final statement about life and my role in it. I guess I would say, yeah, I was confused and it never stopped.
Yeah, I think this album is lyrically pretty heavy duty.
Oh,
It's
did
not the
Istophobos, I think the thing is he had to go out and come back in, and so I need to put him back up for us to hear him.
okay. All right.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry about
But I
that.
mean, in a time, well, we were getting kind of away from the poppy stuff, but in a time where, you still had a lot of, love, love, love and all this stuff. Here they come with, some pretty intricate, heavy lyrics.
Although that probably wasn't it because all I did was ended up taking him off. I think he's having some
Uh-oh.
connection troubles. Or no, add to stage. It's the Phobos. Are you with
Yeah,
us?
I
There
think
he is.
you just booted me off. Like,
Well, I was trying to get you on. I didn't hear you for a bit. I got worried and then I
oh,
put you off
I
thinking I was putting you on.
no, I didn't know I was left. I was actually looking to see if I could pinpoint the microphones they were using at that concert.
Oh.
And
Well, not
the
just the concert, the album. I would say the album sounds a little
ah
better than the concert. I wasn't just
Well,
saying
yeah,
that,
that
but this
recording
track
kind
on
of
the album, there's something about it. But I think it also spreads to the different microphones at the time, whether it was, you know, late 60s, early 70s rock or jazz or pop or something. There was something about the sound of the voices coming through those microphones. And it just sounded, I don't know, better to me than our crystal clear microphones of today in a way. I don't know, maybe it's something about what they hide
yeah,
or
I think they
just
add a
the
little bit of even order distortion that sounds good to most people.
mm,
And a lot of people are looking for that older vintage sound, so there is something to it.
yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and it's probably usually in more about what it's not picking up than what it's bringing in, is my guess. But I'm not really my experience in mastering and engineering music is pretty uh simple and student like, rather than I don't have a lot of experience doing that, but I've listened to guys who do it a lot and they seem to like the older mics as well. I like the Neumann U47s and the Electro Voice. So
Yeah. Yeah, I have an EV RE20 right here, although it unfortunately has my voice coming through it. I'm asking here, Greg Lake on Epitaph on the original. There we go. I got question properly asked. Let's see how well Gemini is able to explore the vaults of things out there. I guess there are no specific studio logs. Uh-huh.
that might be hard for 1969.
Yeah, well, some people save, what do you call those? Track sheets. where they would write down, what's on each track, what's going into each input bus, what the preamp is, and even the settings. Used to write all that stuff down. And I'm still reading this while trying to talk. Okay, how about we move along then? Well, it's saying possibilities like the Neumann U67 or U87. Still, cherished microphones today.
Yeah, the thing is, you can still buy those, but the new ones don't sound as good as the ones from the 60s and 70s.
The Mellotron.
They use
mic
Newman
placement.
U67 and U87.
Okay, yeah.
That's what they used.
Yep.
According to AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
You
looked
can
up,
be
easily-
surprised at all.
Yeah, and you can easily drop 25 grand on a vintage one of those as opposed to a new one that supposedly is identical.
Hmm.
and they used Fairchild UREI compressors. I'm not.
I'd be interested in knowing the preamp. But in any case, I guess Mike can do that while I go ahead one slide here because we do have two more overall tracks. Now, there are two-parters. The two-parters. We have Moonchild, and this should not be confused with Moonchild from Seventh Son of a Seventh Son by Iron Maiden. But that's also a good song. But it's not the same thing. We have some 2 minutes of beauty, and then we have 10 minutes of experimental behavior, I call it.
Yeah, interesting way of putting it. Yeah.
There's one thing about at least this one. I think there's definitely great places for experimenting and, especially experimental jams. And sometimes you can catch some magic ones right away. But sometimes you need to jam on them a bit and do them again a few times and stuff like that before you really start, I think, getting some of the magic. But sometimes it's almost like, oh, we're just going to make this experimental, and that's what you get. You just get experimental. And it's sometimes it sounds like just dicking around. And it got close to that for me, at least on this one. There's some moments where I felt like maybe a bit of editing could have worked, or jam on those ideas again, but maybe move on from one to another a little bit sooner or whatever. It's like I would have liked to hear this transition to that a little bit quicker, or I don't know. But to each their own. Everyone's allowed to make the music they want on their albums, and everyone's allowed to enjoy what they enjoy and say so. So, at least for me, I just found it to be something that probably could have been still just as experimental, but a little bit more focused on the great parts that were there and less not so great material, shall we say, or less special moments happening. Or shall we say, less unspecial moments happening. All right. I guess I'm done. And I see I made everyone speechless by that.
No, I was reading something about I don't want to read the whole article, but they're talking about in the Court of the Crimson King, the songs were built up in layers by bouncing tracks and combining multiple instruments on many of the 8 available tracks. They were using 8-track.
Well, that is also the next track. We're not quite there yet.
The whole album. It says on the first album, on some songs, we actually had to mix the song in 4 and 8 bar sections because the track lineup would change so drastically.
Oh, wow.
The piano would suddenly become a guitar, background vocals became Ian McDonald on bass clarinet. But what I thought's really funny as we get down this a little bit it says the track sheets, which you were asking about, the track sheets looked ridiculous.
Hmm.
Because
Oh,
they
that's
just they were doing all this crazy shit on
Oh yeah.
different
Well,
tracks.
you had certain amounts of tracks on the tape, and that's all it could have. And
Yeah,
so you
but they
had to
were
bounce
using
things down
EQ
to
and
include all the things you're included to add more. That's basically, folks think of it as like having 8 slots in something. You can keep all 8 and then add like 6 more, but only if you take 6 of those and combine them, merge them destructively, meaning, you can't fix the mix after that. They're all together now as 2. All those 8 instruments are now 2, and then you have 6 slots left over to record more. And I have a feeling there was a lot of that going on multiple generations.
well, and there was some crazy mic placement too. They talked about, doing different mic placements and placing mics farther away to get a more distant sound on the Mellotron. And yeah, they were doing a lot of crazy shit. And
Oh, I was going to play a video on the Mellotron thing from Epitaph. Well, it doesn't have to be Epitaph, but basically, yeah, let me play a little bit of Mellotron stuff that I did collect for this. I do have a link in the description if folks do want to follow up on this. There is an 8-part video series. I think it's from when YouTube had more rigorous time constraints on it, because it's not 8 parts like saying it's a series. Really, it's one discussion where Ian McDonald talks about the Mellotron, and it just happens to be in 8 parts on YouTube. So let me play that because I got it just for this. And there is a link in the description if you want to find the original, because I don't think we're going to play all 8 parts, but we are going to play at least maybe 1 or 2. Let's see here. But did I cut anybody off with what I was saying? I don't know. Just the track sheets might have been ridiculous also, because you do list your miking techniques, your settings on preamps, anything it's routing to.
I didn't find anything about preamps, but apparently they were doing a lot of experimenting.
Yeah, because your microphones do go into preamps, and then they could been just built into the board, in which case there's nothing really to write down, because unless you record your gain levels, which usually you don't need to. Now I am going into my folder where I have this thing, and media MP4, and it's not doing it for some reason here. Oh, I know why. I'm going about it all wrong. I just need to share the tab in my window here. Sorry, folks. I'm still relearning StreamYard even after a few weeks. Okay, I think we should be seeing it now. I'm not hearing audio, so I am going to double check the level here. There we go.
Yeah, I'll show one for this. This is not a command performance, but I just thought that probably everybody here, I bet if you told the group, they'd say that their favorite and the thing that probably got the most interested in Mellotrons was probably Epitaph, which was a tune that Ian wrote and here. I think I could tell you what. And it was just an awe-inspiring piece, and it still is. I mean, it's still it still isn't. I mean, a lot of music from that period sounds really dated. Get out your Vanilla Fudge albums if you want to hear dated. And I mean, that album is just a masterful piece of recording. recording and playing, and I think the thing that impressed me most about King Crimson is they could do that live just as well. You've heard the live recordings, I'm sure. So when Ian agreed to come up, I thought immediately, I've got probably about enough questions to fill up an hour on how that was done. So, ladies and gentlemen, the person who brought the Mellotron to more people and caused more people to spend money than probably anybody in the creation of music, Ian McDonald.
What kind of car do you drive?
Well, I was going to say, you're probably wondering why I asked you all here today. I'm sure myself. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what kind of questions you're going to
Get the mic, get the camera on the right person.
want answered, but
Oh, no, it is.
I know very little about these things. I think you probably all know much more about Mellotron than I do. So. But, who wants to fire away?
I'll ask, whose idea was it to use the Mellotrons in King Crimson?
It is. It's probably mine, because I wanted to bring something other than just the normal sort of group format to the group, other than guitar, bass, drums, and all that. And obviously, I'd heard the Moody Blues records, and I just felt it'd be a good instrument. It just happened to be, at the right place at the right time, basically. And it's essentially the only game in town. There was no other way to get strings and that sort of thing. So, and it's basically left to me to cope with it.
So Ian, when you cut your next album, then the McDonald.
I guess I'll pause just for a moment. I wanted to check that. The Moody Blues, Nights in White Satin. What year was that?
I'm thinking 67,
What year
but
was Nights in White Satin recorded? And
It was 67.
okay,
yeah, that's what I said. That's what I thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 2 years
Yeah.
before this, so they definitely did it first, and well, he said that was kind of like an inspiration there, and it sounds like the same sound, the same lengths of tape, because the Mellotron, as we've covered in Earworms in the past, is basically a series of tape loops that get played. Well, they don't loop like this, like a cycle. They basically get rewound in between plays. And so it's a complicated piece of machinery, or maybe not complicated, but it's something that takes a lot of maintenance and everything. And but you got these recordings or samples, basically, of string playing. And from this song, Epitaph, which sounds very similar to Nights in White Satin, you have these, the sounds of the orchestra sometimes would be very similar. And they even had some of them at the BBC, and they'd be used by multiple artists and stuff. And,
John Lennon used it in February of 67 on Strawberry Fields and a couple other songs on that album.
Well, yeah, and then they used it a lot in the Yellow Submarine thing
Yeah.
afterwards.
So, yeah. So the Mellotron had been around.
Yeah.
I think we covered that in one of the early
Yeah, we did a
Earworms.
week on the Mellotron, yeah.
Yeah.
One of our Sundays.
Yes.
But that had a whole invention controversy with it, too. Like
Yes, it did.
Creator and everything. And, like, who came up with the idea first, basically?
Yeah, right.
And I don't remember the whole story right now. I'd have to look it up again if I was going to talk on it. But let me see if he says anything magical before we finish up this puppy today.
Giles' album, you didn't use the Mellotron, and why? Right.
Well, when I left the group, I thought that I would never see one of these things again. It proved to be wrong, but no, I wanted a different sound. In fact, we used some real strings. brass and that sort of thing. And plus, I didn't have a mellotron. When I left the group, I left this behind. So
Right.
I didn't want it to sound like King Crimson, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, looks like he's there. Maybe not excited to be there, but he's there. All right, folks. So that link is in the description if you want to look up that whole discussion later. But yeah, it was, at least for this album, I think a big part of the sound, especially Epitaph. And I tend to like Epitaph as a song better than Nights in White Satin, but that's just me. Although Nights in White Satin is a nice song. It's something that you can, I guess, hear frequently enough and then not need to hear it as often anymore. Okay, so let's finish this puppy up. We have here one more song to get to, and that would be, it's called The Court of the Crimson King. And it's complete with all sorts of lovely things going on. Epic medieval fantasy, complete with, what do I call this? Yes. The fire witches, puppets, and then also black queens are in the mix there as far as characters are concerned. Now, this one has a recurring theme that's in the one part called Fire Witch, and then that does return later after. There are several other themes throughout, but the theme of the piece does continue to returning, so it's kind of like a rondeau form. And then the dance of the puppets is a section that actually feels like it's going to a different section that's bringing you to an end, but then it really kind of has a well-placed recapitulation returning to the main theme again. So, I don't know. Those were just my summaries of it. But what y'all think? I think everyone got quiet after I said something about Moonchild, the experimental section.
I think you may have lost. No, he's still there.
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Okay.
It's really frustrating to talk about something that we can't play even like a tiny little section of. But this is the big daddy on the track, man. I mean, the song is epic.
Mm-hmm.
It's right up there. I was thinking of, a lot of bands of the time, have their big sort of epic poetry song. Like this is their Kashmir or like their Rain Song. If you look at Zeppelin, who also used quite a bit of Mellotron. I also got a little distracted because something came up. I saw digital Mellotrons. I guess they still make them, but they're digital, which makes me wonder what exactly the point is. I
don't know.
Because the beauty of the Mellotron was that it used genuine sampled sounds, and at a time when that wasn't an easy thing to do mechanically, but now you can do it pretty much in any DAW. So I sort of got a little rabbit hole. What makes a Mellotron now?
I think what they did is they took some of those original tape loops that were being kept at production houses and studios and so forth, maybe some of the vintage BBC ones, and that's what they're really selling there, is digitized, preserved versions of those now.
I see. Okay. And then it's just one of the, it's easy to get drop down a music rabbit hole, but I mean, this is the song that this is the big one, and you would hear it on the radio. You couldn't believe they were playing the whole song, right? Even though they did have some truncated versions for different stations.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously I've listened to it, but man, I've known the lyrics to this song like my whole life. It's never faded away. the rustic chains of Prison Moon. Like, it's like, so it came out in the 60s. I listened to it. I remembered the words, and I haven't forgotten those words in over 50 years,
Wow.
as well as the bass line and all the other sounds on the thing, it really, and he mentioned like Vanilla Fudge catching some strays on that video. But it really is. I mean, he's not entirely wrong, but I don't think you have to contrast it. I don't think you have to knock anybody down. It's just amazing how the music holds up. All this time later, it still sounds like, with the exception of the fact that it's good. So, it wasn't recorded recently. It sounds like it could have been recorded recently.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
I can see Carmen Apiece like throwing something against the wall, getting all upset.
I mean, you could hear mixing techniques, which does definitely put it in its era and everything. But that, for me, that's a good thing, because I feel like some of the sound that was achieved back then was just, I don't know, just more warmer and more expressive than what we have today, where maybe the clarity is just too much.
Yeah, the other thing is that if you want to be like a rock or a pop, if you want to be a drummer, everything you need to know you can learn is in this one song. If you as a drummer learn to play this song, you'll know everything you need to pretty much play with any like rock and roll band. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think we're going to wrap up here. This night we had some folks stop by a bit, but it looks like we're going to have to do this a couple weeks and see if we can build up a regular group that's used to being able to part-time with their Friday nights with us. And so I think we're going to need to call it a night here, but we will come back to some Robert Fripp in the future and some other iterations of King Crimson. But it's good to start, I guess, with the beginnings. And
most definitely.
Although I would say in the next album, was it just Fripp, or was there at least one other person that was still there from this album?
They were on the second album. But I don't think they ever toured it.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't capture. It wasn't as good. I mean, it was good, but in the wake of the Poseidon was the next one.
Yeah, that one I have, and that one's a good one.
Yeah, I was thinking Greg Lake was only on the first one, but no, he was on the second one.
Okay.
Or so they say on the liner notes.
So there, yeah. So it was really its own thing. It was a special year in music, and
it's funny. The album cover, the design, it's the only thing the guy ever did. Then he passed away. It was the only album with that lineup. It was like the ultimate one-off, but it had so much influence going forward. There are references to the songs in the album and TV, movies, even the Venture Brothers. The guy Rusty and the Venture Brothers has this album in his collection, and he won't let his son see it. He's like, "You're not ready for the Crimson King," kind of. There's all kind of stuff. Stephen King has referenced this in his books. For me, this lineup, I have all the albums, but honestly, I get a little Lark's Tongue, but I'm not really back into the band until Starless. And then it just got better for the next 6 albums after there is just amazing.
Well, that would be when John Wetton came with them, wouldn't it?
Yes. So he brought a kind of vocals that Like this album couldn't be done with anybody else but Greg Lake. His voice was just perfect for that. And I don't think they found another good sound for them until John Wetton and then Adrian Belew. And so, you know, I think the run, Starless, Red, Discipline, Beat, and Three of a Perfect Pair, like you can count on one hand the number of bands that had like 5 bangers in a row like that.
Right.
It just never had. Nobody's creative core streak is ever that long. The Beatles, one of the few. Zeppelin, you know, even so I mean, it really is kind of amazing.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm putting in the announcement for folks to join our friends at B-Sides coming up soon, and actually pasted in the link straight to their video. I'm
there you
curious
go
to see what they're doing. Let's see here. B-Sides episode 121. The Picnic Boy. No, the Bionic Boy. Excuse
It's
me.
hard to believe. This is the 121st B-side. That's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
121, The Bionic Boy, live riffs and commentary. I have not seen The Bionic Boy.
I had never even heard of the Bionic Boy.
Yeah, didn't know they needed one.
I knew the Bionic Man.
Yeah.
And the Bionic Woman.
Yeah. What is that? $3 million.
Yeah, I've discovered a lot of interesting movies through B-sides, much more than I expected, I have to say.
Yeah, was it? I thought it was the Bionic Woman and the $6 Million Man, right?
It was.
Yes, it was.
Well, nowadays,
but they didn't invent
the $6 Million Woman.
They didn't invent the term though, so you know, bionics, you know, so. But
that's more than fix a flat.
Yeah, so like I think the Bionic Boy is late 70s. So this looks like it was a Latin America version of the $6 Million Man, but with a child in Spanish. That might be a different movie than they're doing, but I was looking that up.
Interesting.
Well, we all get to find out later at
not much later.
Eastern time zone. That'll be in 23 minutes, but I don't think we're going to be able to riff until then. I think some of us are going to need to finish the actual dinner that was started and just see what's going on in real life.
Supper's ready.
Yeah. Got to check in with Liza. Well, thank you for joining me, gentlemen.
Absolutely. We'll do it again.
Yeah, we'll try next week, maybe another, and we'll see if this Friday slot works out. If people are just like expecting, Friday, or maybe they think of Friday as just like a movie night and stuff like that, then it's like, well, we got enough of that on Sundays, so we'll try something different. But
there you go.
It's worth a shot.
Absolutely.
Any ideas for what you'd like to do next? Once again, I'd like to kind of keep it to albums so that we don't just do a band in one night and never talk about them again.
I don't want the responsibility of picking.
Yeah.
Really, you grab what you want. I'll let you know if I know anything about it or not. But
there you go. There you go. Well, are you sticking in the older vein?
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
I don't know anything right now that
I don't know about the first Yes album, but the Yes album when Bill Bruford joined and Steve Howe, they didn't have Wakeman with them yet on that one, but
yeah, great minds, Mike. Because I was thinking the same. We did Rush. You got King Crimson. Yes, is a natural. I think it might be interesting to go to one of their earlier albums where I don't know. Like I said, I don't really want the responsibility.
We did Tales of Topographic Oceans already.
we did. Well,
But-
I was going earlier.
Well, this
the
is
Yes album.
this is before that, so that's good. I'm just asking, what album would that be?
It's called the Yes album.
Oh, the Yes album. Okay. The Yes album.
The
Okay,
Yes
I'm going to
album.
check it out. That sounds like a good idea.
Just the thought.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Relayer. I don't know that I did that one.
That was when Wakeman left and Patrick Moraz was the keyboardist.
Well, Wakeman left. So this was after Topographic Oceans?
Yeah, Wakeman left because of Topographic Oceans.
Yeah, exactly. So this one came after.
And then
Oh, I
Relayer
thought we were
came
going
out,
before.
yeah, which was actually a fantastic album.
Yeah.
But yeah, Patrick Moraz was the keyboardist. And then he got pissed off because I guess he didn't get the credit he thought he should get. So he was a one-off. He did that album and that tour, and he was gone.
Mm.
And then Wakeman came back.
I guess we can do the Yes album because that'll be interesting for me since I'm not as familiar with that as like Relayer and Topographic and some of
Right.
the others.
Yeah, it was a shorter songs, more radio friendly, and they did pretty well. So
Yeah.
Okay. Not as good as Owner of a Lonely Heart.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
that's a whole nother era.
yeah.
That's one of those songs where it's almost like, all right, where's it going? You got an idea.
Well, you know how I dealt
And
with
it
the
never
80s
went
Yes?
beyond the idea.
All I can say about the 80s Yes is I came to terms with it by going, well, it's better than most of the other music out there.
I don't know. For me, it's just like there was a lot of cope in the 80s about what happened to your favorite bands from the 70s.
Yeah.
I'm
exactly.
thinking the Genesis album with Mother on it, Signals from Rush, this one, like, yeah, I bought it, I listened to it, I told myself it was good, I knew I was lying, and but
you know what I did like though? What I did like was Drama, which did not have John Anderson on it.
yeah, but it had a completely different sound than the 9021 or what's it? OU81. God, I can't remember that. Yeah, no, but the album has the same. It's like it's a number, right?
90125.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I was
it's
like
not 90120.
OU81 9021 0991.
Drama was right before it. Yeah. And John Anderson was out on that.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, but Drama still felt a little more like Yes, but
big time.
I'm saying this one came out. It was just like the Genesis album with Mother. And Signals,
they went pop.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Power Windows for me. That was the last. That was the last Rush album I ever bought. So
yeah,
I know they put out twice as many albums as they had before that period. But for me, you know, you've for groups that have been around really long that have many phases. I think most people tend to have the phase they like and don't veer out of it a whole. I could be wrong, but
yeah, I agree, and I'm the same way with Rush.
No, I don't know. I spread it out a bit more. Although, yeah, for Yes, it's pretty much the earlier stuff for me, and then only some of the later stuff they got back together with some of the early members again in the 90s and so forth, and some of those were pretty good.
Yeah, you have to remember, for me, like new recent music, in my mind, that's like Alice in Chains, and that's already like 30 plus years old.
I mean, like Bruford.
That's funny. I was listening to
Howe,
Alice in
and
Chains
Wakeman.
earlier.
No, what I was saying is that Bruford, Howe, and Wakeman and Anderson got together with Chris Squire and toured as Yes in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, they
that's
did.
what I'm saying was a reunion that they did.
Well, yeah, and there was
referencing what
Anderson,
they did
Bruford,
earlier.
Wakeman, Howe. That's what they called themselves.
Oh no, they even did it under the name Yes. Like
Yeah,
Keys
yeah,
to
they did some
Ascension
of that
was one
too.
album they released, and
But
everything.
when they did Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe, Tony Levin actually joined them on bass.
Oh wow, yeah, that'd be different.
Yep.
Yeah, my point is musically, I'm stuck in the past, and even when I'm not, it's still 30 years ago. So
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
I
am
agree. I
very
like
well
a lot
like.
of the '90s stuff. Yeah.
I don't think I've bought 5 albums in the last 20 years that were not movie soundtracks.
Wow.
And it's not because of it's not the medium change. It's not because of streaming. I'm just saying, I'm not a big fan. Um, if I see a local band that I really like, I'll buy one of their CDs at a show. That doesn't count. I'm saying, I think forever musically, I barely get out of the 90s.
Oh yeah, I'm big into independent artists.
Mm.
So, but that's not unknown.
Yeah, but I have a box of CDs I've gotten from local bands around town, and
Yeah.
count those separate. They're all, self-published kind of things, but
Right. Yeah. Independent artists. Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess I went a little later in that, but yeah, I think when I moved to Miami and some of my colleagues were looking at my collection, they're like, "Do you have anything past '96?" It's like 1996? No, not really.
Well, I have a lot of stuff. It's just not mainstream.
yeah, any keyboard past the Hammond B3, I'm not interested in listening to. So,
Oh, wow.
We covered that too, I think, a long time ago.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
we
I'm-
did the Hammond organs. We've done them. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, yes. The Yes album. Give it a listen. Look into it.
All righty. So let's call it a night, folks.
All right.
I'll let you
All
gentlemen
right.
do whatever
Good night,
you're
everyone.
gonna do. Good night.
Good
all.
night.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Yeah.
New Year. Go eat dinner.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Beautiful 2026.
Yeah.